Alright, so I started. Alright, so this is gonna mainly be a podcast between a friend of mine. His name is Jose. Say hello.
Hello, how you guys doing?
So mainly we're gonna do kind of this, I guess, a weekly thing where we mostly discuss about Yu-Gi-Oh topics and trends, and also cards that seem to be pricing in the marketplace as well, and discuss several texts. Like I have usually done some of my videos, and Jose here, he actually loves to experiment with most of his decks. Well, majority of his deck actually, and normally whenever I ask for help, I usually ask him about it. So I wanted to ask, what seems to be the more upcoming deck that seems to be like being used a lot lately?
A lot lately? Well, we're already being dominated by zoos, so that's a really big thing right there. I think D.D.Ds have dropped out from the map entirely. And a lot of rogue decks are out there right now.
Such as?
Just any type of rogue deck, like Six Samurai is a good example right now. Cubics are roaming around for some reason.
They were very like Cubics. Are like they have a good OTK potential.
They do, but it takes time to set up that OTK if they don't have a really good hand first.
Yeah. Another rogue deck I wanted to discuss about was I talked to you about it, which was the scrap that it was like a few weeks ago that it played at a I don't want to say a regional, and it got top 32. What do you got to say about that? And this regional, there was at least 400 people that attended this specific regional, and it was able to actually get top 32. What do you feel about that?
Well, that is actually really, really good, and let's say he was probably maybe the only one playing scraps at that point.
Yes.
I say scraps right now in this meta, they're really good because they have a lot of destructibility, and Zoodiacs can't survive destructibility. Not only that, but scraps get payoff whenever their cards get destroyed. So Drancia is already helping them at that point.
Exactly. Yes, that's true. And Drancia's effect is the one that it can pop a card during either place 10.
A face-up card.
Face-up card. So the idea is that for scraps, their synchro monsters consist of Scrap Dragon, Scrap Twin, and Ultra. These 3 dragons, synchros, have a similar effect that whenever destroyed by card effect or by battle, they get to special summon a non-synchro scrap monster from the graveyard. What I like about those cards so much is that no matter if you negate the summon, their effects still go through. So you can if you had Solemn Judgment, Solemn Warning, or Solemn what was it called? Solemn Strike. You can do any of those, and the effects will still go through. That's one of the main things that I love about the scrap archetype, or mainly for those synchros alone. So about the Zoodiac, what do you feel about the prices right now?
The Zoodiacs, they're really high up there. Like they're really, really expensive right now. It's just basically Konami trying to make some really hefty money off of them, you know. Because they dominate the OCGs. They saw that, so they just rarely bumped everything.
And when have you seen such an increase in price? Like, what was the last time you seen something like this?
Something like this, I can't really say, because I think about 2 or 3 years ago is when I finally started paying attention to the prices on cards. Because I never usually paid attention to them, you know.
Oh yeah,
I would always create my own deck, so I really pay no mind to it.
Right.
So I really can't judge it, you know.
Okay. I believe for me, the last time I've seen a deck this expensive was, I would say, probably when the age of fucking the ritual archetype.
Oh, you mean Necros?
The Necros. Where a deck can actually potentially be about $1,000 or so. That, I don't think it wasn't too much, but Performer Pals at the time as well.
Yeah, they were $500, but that's a complete deck, you know, with all extra deck cards and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. So I mean, it was relatively not really cheap, but still not as bad as we see in this engine, which if you calculate it, the engine itself, like nothing with the extra, well, majority of the extra deck
is the Zodiac, but like, I know what you mean. Like the engine by itself is like $500, which is more than what Performer Pals was.
So, we've been looking up the prices, and the main spell card, which is a secret, just like the other XCs. This one apparently right now costs around $99 to $100. What do you feel about that price?
I feel like it's a little outrageous because they do need that card. Like Zodiacs really need that card.
Yeah, and would that be something that you would if you would have a Zoodiac Beast deck? Would you main deck 3 copies?
Well, if I wasn't a budget player, yes, I would main deck 3 because I would have to get to my engine as soon as possible because that's the only way I can +5 on my opponent first turn.
So, +5 seems like a la verga. You just get 5 cards for free. How's this this engine start up with?
You can open up with Barrage, destroy Barrage, go for Rapier, overlay for one of the Xyz, and then overlay that one on top of it for Tiger.
Mm-hmm.
And then detach, special summon one of the Rapiers from the deck. Don't detach Rapier, detach the Xyz so you can special summon your Rapier. Right. Afterwards, you overlay for Bullhorn, detach the Rapier from Bullhorn to special summon your second Rapier.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, use Bullhorn's effect to search. Any Zodiac Beasts, depending on what build you're making, you can search up Coach Bear.
Oh, that fucker.
Yeah. And then afterwards, you can overlay Bullhorn, or Broad Bull, as I believe its TCG name is. Overlay him for Zodiac Beast Trident, which is the one that pops during your turn. So afterwards, you can then go for your Coach Bear, special summon it, make them all level 8, and then go for Coach,
and you detach and to get a draw every single time.
Yeah,
that's dirty. And I also seen some that was use Invoker.
Yeah, they use Invoker. They usually use it by Terratop and Takatambor.
That shit is just an amazing rank 3 engine, in my opinion.
Yep.
So other things I wanted to talk about. So we got the Zoodiac, and you also mentioned about D.D.Ds not being like they're kind of like becoming less relevant at this time.
Well, they have less players basically because Zodiacs is dominating it, and I haven't seen any D.D.D players really. That doesn't mean the deck's bad. It just means people aren't playing it. Though.
Do you think? Because right now, actually, I've been watching some videos. They release the other version, like the more advanced version of these cards. Like for instance, the Fusion. Yep, the level 8 Fusion.
You mean the executives?
Yes, the executives. You got the way it has a release on the Fusion's effect, which is pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie. It has a very similar effect to the original one, but this Prime can pretty much special summon any of the D.D.Ds from the graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
And it combos well pretty much off the other D.D.Ds who also special summon their own shit, and also with the slimes. And what do you feel about this? Like, how do you think how will it impact the meta?
I think it would help them out really good, the D.D.Ds.
Yeah, I really hope so, because a friend of ours actually, Roger, do you think you'll actually continue playing D.D.Ds?
If that card gets released, then yeah.
Do you see it being something that's very competitive or sticking around the rogue?
Oh, D.D.Ds were already competitive for a little brief period of time, but over there in OCG, they had more time over there, so they were a meta deck at that point. So I can see D.D.Ds becoming meta if nothing gets hit.
Oh, hopefully not. Like they still have like a lot of shit going good for them, especially like, of course, the Lord Darkness is still pretty badass. And then of course the slimes. The slimes open up so many plays.
Mm-hmm.
It's fusion, synchro plays, and it's just a very like outstanding deck that can pretty much do every single summoning as well. Pendulum, fusion, synchro, and if you want, you can also fuck around with Xyz. But I really do still hope that D.D.Ds become very relevant and hopefully get past the Zoodiacs. So, for Zodiac Beasts, what would be good side deck cards against them if you were playing against a player that was using Zodiac Beasts?
Well, for starters, I would say Breakthrough Skill is a really good trap card against Zodiac Beasts.
You'd probably use that if you're going first, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Another card that you said that they hate destruction, pretty much, you said.
Mm-hmm.
And also, another thing I would also like to mention is that this deck, because of the pluses it gets, more than likely is going to have a lot of traps, such as probably Solemn Strike, Dimensional Barrier, and even other shit, probably like any some bottomless trap holes or anything like that, doesn't matter. A lot of way, in my opinion, would probably counteract that would be mostly just back row hate, such as Twin Twister. Maybe if you want, you can cite in a Royal Decree, if you don't really run too many back row. Another one you also mentioned, because of course it's just Xyz summoning, correct?
Yeah.
So you also say why not try out just Dimensional Barrier yourself?
Yeah, you can definitely take that card in. Another thing for back row hate I would say is really good is Night Beam.
Night Beam?
Yeah, if you hit their Dimensional Barrier with your Night Beam, they can't chain anything to it.
Yeah.
They can chain another back row, but more than likely their other back row is Solemn Brigade. So they can't
really do anything.
Yeah, they can't do anything to Night Beam.
So
if they choose to, they have to use Drancia's effect to activate Dimensional Barrier in a chain link. So not only have they wasted their Drancia, but you've actually given yourself some more breathing room because of that.
Exactly. Other things I would like to mention was some monsters that can actually stop this whole engine. Kind of, I would say like permanently, but for the time being, you mentioned Ghost Ogre.
Yes, because Ghost Ogre can destroy like their tigers and their boar bow and stuff like that whenever they're special summoning their Momorets.
Right.
So they're already going -1 essentially right there. To them at least.
Yeah, so that way you won't get the additional drawing.
Yeah, they won't be able to flood the field.
Another one, would you consider Effect Veiler to be a good side deck?
It's a decent side deck. It's not the greatest because the obvious thing they can do is just overlay over the negated Xyz.
Yeah, that's another thing. So pretty much it's just saying if you you can still use the effect to detach and you can negate it, but it won't really do that much. Like you said, it would just overlay.
Yeah, it would just
the Xyz.
It would just overlay entirely. So, I mean, depending on how the Zoodiac player personally plays, then Effect Veiler can actually help you out. But I don't see it really game changing, I don't see it giving you breathing space.
Oh, okay. And another side deck card that you mentioned, you said that would be, because you played Monarchs before, correct?
Yeah.
What was that trap card that you were referring to?
I probably butcher the name, but I think it was like Griselium Prison or something like that. What essentially it does is, as long as you're playing like a tribute-based deck, a ritual-based deck, or a fusion-based deck, you can activate this trap card. And what it does, it stops your opponent from using any Xyz monsters effect, Synchro, and I believe Pendulum. No, I don't think it was Pendulum, but something else.
That actually reminds me, there's actually another ritual archetype coming in very soon. Do you think that'll be a main deck card for him?
Yes, I would say that if Zodiacs are still relevant, they can definitely play that prison card. Because what it does, it stops your opponent from using their XC effects and essentially stops them from playing XCs entirely for 3 turns.
Fucking wrecked. So, I was just looking up because they decided to release like these new spirit monsters, and then this archetype revolving around these rituals that are also kind of like spirits because of course they return to the hand after they are summoned. And when I first saw them, like I paid no mind to it, but it seems to like to be a good deck to fuck around with. Um, well, about almost time. So, is there anything you want to say? Any last words before we end this?
I'd like to say thank you, Joseph, for having me on the show.
Oh, no problem. No problem, dog. And it's also good to have you. Thank you for being here. So, asking these questions. Hopefully, we can ask my friend Jose if we're going to do some deck profiles as well, because he has very interesting decks that he would like to discuss about. Hopefully, in the future, we will discuss more on that. But thank you, Jose, for coming here. And thank you all for watching, and hope you all have a good day. Thank you all.